the moment that you found out?
Well, I was actually in the bed. My TV wasn't working, so I was on iPad watching a movie, about to go to sleep. So LB called me and said that, and I saw it on iPad. Probably if I wasn't on iPad, I wouldn't see it. And she called me, and first thing I said, like probably 3 times, is April 1st. And I was in shock. Basically didn't do nothing that night, just sitting on the couch and just getting my mind through it.
Did you talk to anybody or did you just sit there?
It was meant to be LeBron's house. For 7 years, the Staples Center, now the Arena, has been the throne room of King James, the glittering stage for his final acts of greatness. But last night, a 25-year-old prince from Slovenia didn't just visit, he staged a hostile takeover. In a virtuoso performance that transcended basketball, Luka Dončić didn't just beat the Lakers, he authored a symbolic, brutal, and definitive end to an era. The stats were historic, the highlights were viral, but the moment that will echo forever was simpler. A young superstar, standing at mid-court in the heart of Los Angeles, drinking in the stunned silence of a crowd that came to see a king and realizing they were witnessing the coronation of his successor. The LeBron era in LA is over. The Luka era has begun. This is the story of the night one legend erased another. The atmosphere was electric, but it was a familiar electricity. It was the buzz of legacy. LeBron James, now in his 22nd season, was playing in his city, in the building he had claimed as his own. The pregame montages celebrated his Lakers milestones, the 2020 championship, the all-time scoring record. The narrative, as sold by the arena's giant screens, was one of sustained, ageless brilliance, a king comfortably surveying his domain, with young challengers like Luka Dončić merely paying tribute to his lasting reign. Luka, however, carried a different energy onto the court. There was no awe, no wide-eyed deference that often marks young stars in LeBron's presence. His warm-up was businesslike, almost detached. While LeBron engaged in his familiar pregame rituals, chalk toss for the absent crowd, playful banter with courtside celebrities, Luka's focus was a laser. He ran through drills with a cold efficiency, his expression unreadable. He wasn't preparing for a spectacle, he was preparing for a demolition. The first quarter played out like the script. LeBron was masterful, leveraging 2 decades of wisdom. He hit a deep three, celebrated with a stoic nod. He found a cutting Anthony Davis for a thunderous alley-oop, sending the home crowd into a frenzy. He was the conductor, controlling the tempo, picking his spots. Luka, by contrast, started slowly. He probed the defense, took a few tough, contested shots that rimmed out. It seemed the narrative would hold, the veterans' savvy overwhelming the young guns' raw talent on the big stage. The throne room, for a moment, felt secure. But it was the calm before a storm of historic and humiliating proportions.
Emotions of the day and playing against your former team?
I don't know, honestly. I don't know. It's just so weird, the moments. Felt like I don't know what I was doing. And I'm glad we got the win.
The last 5+ minutes, you and LeBron, there's a lot of different interactions on the court, and you finding him and vice versa. But what was that like for you, and how are you starting to develop this chemistry so soon?
Yeah, Judge said in timeout, let's get organized. And once we get organized on offense, we got a lot of work.
The shift was not gradual. It was a violent, seismic change in the game's reality. It began midway through the second quarter. Luka, until then a facilitator, decided to become an executioner. He began hunting mismatches, but with a chilling, specific intent. Every time the Lakers switched, forcing LeBron James onto him, Luka's eyes would lock in. It was no longer about finding the best shot. It was about sending the most devastating message. The first time, he used a series of hypnotic crossovers, rocking LeBron to sleep before stepping back and draining a 30-foot three-pointer directly in his face. He held his follow-through, staring at LeBron as he backpedaled. But Luka wasn't just scoring, he was conducting a symphony of humiliation. On the next defensive possession, he read a LeBron pass like an open book, jumping the lane for a steal that led to a breakaway dunk. He then began orchestrating the Mavericks' offense with surgical precision, hitting teammates with no-look passes that sliced through the Lakers' defense, each assist a subtle critique of LeBron's own playmaking. The statistical explosion was mind-bending. By halftime, Luka was flirting with a triple-double. In the third quarter, he achieved it. But the numbers, 40 points, 15 assists, 10 rebounds, only told half the story. The full story was in the method. He was using the entire arsenal: impossible step-backs, crafty finishes at the rim, pinpoint full-court passes. He was showcasing every skill in the book, and he was doing it at LeBron, on LeBron's home floor. The arena's energy morphed from partisan cheers to a stunned, almost reverent silence, punctuated by gasps of disbelief. They weren't just watching a great player have a great game. They were watching a young maestro systematically dismantle the very idea of the old king's invincibility. The throne room was being redecorated in real time, and the new ruler was painting his masterpiece in bold, unforgettable strokes.
No, like I said, post-game interview, after that video, I was like, there's no way I'm playing this game, It was so many emotions, and, I just went out there and just played basketball.
When you checked out, or there was a timeout, I guess, before you checked out, you had 45 points, come to the bench. Some of the fans in the arena are chanting Luka, and your Laker teammates are jumping up and down and chanting it too. What was that moment like for you, and how do you think this was an eventful day for the Lakers as a team?
The true takeover wasn't just in the box score. It happened in the unspoken language of the arena, a silent coup witnessed by 20,000 people. By the start of the fourth quarter, with the Mavericks' lead ballooning, a profound shift had occurred in the building's allegiance. The Lakers faithful, known for their celebrity-studded, often transactional passion, began to applaud for Luka. Not just polite, respectful claps for a great opponent, but genuine, roaring appreciation for artistry. When he hit an absurd, falling-away three-pointer as the shot clock expired, the oohs and ahs that erupted were not of frustration, but of awe. It was the sound a crowd makes at a magic show. The cameras told the story. They were no longer fixed on LeBron's reactions on the bench. They were glued to Luka's every dribble, every gesture. The production truck, the unseen director of the night's narrative, had made a subconscious editorial decision. The story was now his. Even the celebrities courtside, the very people who came to be seen with LeBron, were caught on film shaking their heads in disbelief at Luka, phones out capturing his highlights. The most symbolic moment came with 3 minutes left. The game was decided. Luka Dončić was subbed out. As he walked to the Mavericks bench, a rolling, thunderous standing ovation began to build from the Lakers crowd. It started in the lower bowl and swept upward until the entire arena was on its feet, applauding the young man who had just eviscerated their home team. He gave a small, almost shy wave, a faint smile touching his lips, and sat down. The applause continued. In that moment, the crown changed hands. The building, the city's basketball temple, had not just acknowledged a great performance, it had anointed a new successor. They were paying homage to the future, right in front of the fading present. LeBron, sitting at the end of his own bench, towel over his head, was now a spectator in his own house, watching the crowd cheer the man who had ended his reign. The era wasn't just over, it had been publicly, ceremoniously, and willingly handed over.
Yeah, obviously accept and kind of knew it was coming. So I always said, you get. I think my job, like, you play 4-on-3. This is basketball you can play, so I always accept that. And I think in the second half we did a way better job than the first.
So you guys have several games before the quarterfinal, but you'll host the Spurs. Do you like that concept now? You get into the single elimination game, right? Obviously, win in advance.
I'm requesting to be traded back to Dallas because this Lakers team is absolute dog shit, bro. And now that Nico got fired, I can peacefully go back to Dallas and play there. Lakers can take back Ladidi's best friend, Anthony Glassman, to Davis. But
As the final buzzer sounded on a Mavericks blowout, the aftermath wasn't one of simple loss. It was a cultural reset. The arena, usually buzzing with post-game chatter, emptied with a strange, contemplative quiet. Fans weren't angry. They were shell-shocked, as if they had just witnessed a historic event they couldn't fully process. In the Lakers locker room, the silence was heavier. According to team sources, it was a morgue. Veteran players stared blankly at their lockers. There were no fiery speeches, no promises to bounce back. The defeat felt different. It felt final. LeBron James dressed quickly and left without addressing the media, his exit more eloquent than any words. His uncharacteristic silence was the loudest statement of all. There was nothing left to say. The evidence was on the video board, in the stat sheet, and in the memory of the standing ovation for the opponent. Meanwhile, the Mavericks locker room was a quiet hub of contained triumph. There was celebration, but it was laced with a sense of gravity. Players spoke in hushed tones about Luka's masterclass, knowing they had witnessed something that transcended a regular season win. Luka himself, in his post-game press conference, was humble, deflecting praise to his teammates. But when asked about the crowd's ovation, he paused, then said simply, "It is a special feeling. To play in this building against that player, it means something. I just wanted to play good basketball." His understatement was a dagger. He had just rewritten the story of the building and didn't need to shout it. The NBA world, reacting in real time on social media, didn't debate the outcome. They declared it. Headlines didn't read, "Mavericks beat Lakers." They read, "The passing of the torch, Luka's coronation, and the end of the LeBron era in LA." Analysts and former players unanimously framed the game not as a contest, but as a symbolic event. The conversation instantly shifted from can LeBron will the Lakers to the playoffs to how does his legacy in Los Angeles conclude after a moment like this? The game had written the epitaph for an era, and the entire sports world was reading it aloud.
Than playing the way that you played.
Good question. I don't really know. Like I said, post-game interview, after that video, I was like, there's no way I'm playing this game, It was so many emotions, and, I just went out there and just played basketball.
When you checked out, or there's a timeout, I guess before you checked out, you had 45 points, you come to the bench, some of the fans in the arena are chanting Luka, and your Laker teammates are jumping up and down chanting it.
Our identity, our franchise, our Mass Fans for Life identity, Patan, is now with the freaking Lakers because you got Dirk over there interviewing Luka Dončić inside of the freaking Lakers facility. You know how crazy that shit looks? Our number one guy, our number one franchise player of all freaking time, has to go to an LA Lakers facility to interview the greatest generational talent the Mavericks ever had.
The dust from the blowout has settled, but the seismic shift it caused is just beginning. In the cold light of day, the NBA is conducting a brutal final audit of LeBron James's time in Los Angeles. That 2020 championship banner still hangs in the rafters, but its glow feels different now, filtered through the lens of last night's surrender. For years, the LeBron era in LA was protected by a powerful myth, the myth of his personal invincibility. Even when the Lakers lost, there was a belief that the problem was the pieces around the king, not the crown itself. That myth is now a casualty. Luka's performance was a public autopsy, proving that on any given night in his own building, LeBron can be made to look not just beaten, but strategically and physically surpassed. The aura that defined his prime, the sense that he was the unconquerable final boss, has evaporated, replaced by the conscious image of a legend watching his successor receive a standing ovation in his throne room. This forces a harsh reevaluation of the entire project. LeBron's arrival was framed as the restoration of a fallen empire, but last night exposed a darker truth. The empire was restored, yes, but at a catastrophic cost. The Laker kids, the young, promising core, were traded away. Future draft picks were spent like cash. The kingdom was won, but its next generation was sacrificed to do it. Luka, by stark contrast, represents something purer in Dallas, a homegrown king building his own dynasty from the ground up. This comparison makes LeBron's glorious chapter look less like noble stewardship and more like a brilliant, expensive lease on power. His legacy is now permanently tied to what was destroyed in order to create it. And in that destruction, Luka provided the league with its new blueprint. He didn't just showcase a better performance, he showcased a better model. The model isn't about collecting superstars or making win-now trades. It's about drafting a generational talent, empowering him completely, and building patiently and precisely around his genius. Last night wasn't just a win for Dallas. It was a validation for every small market team trying to build organically. It was proof that in the modern NBA, the most powerful kingdom might be the one you grow yourself, not the one you conquer. The torch wasn't just passed, a new, more sustainable way to carry it was revealed.
To him as a kid, and now you guys are teammates.
I mean, it's great. You see, I've never played with a guy like this. And, just being traded to here, to LA, I mean, it was different. But just to play with guys like him, it's unbelievable. I could learn so many stuff, first of all,
show you the souvenir from that night.
Oh yeah, he's still there.
You hang up the phone the night you're traded, and you threw it?
Yes.
The morning after the takeover, the NBA world awoke to a new, uncomfortable reality. The central question is no longer about LeBron James's next move, but about his very place in the league's current hierarchy. For over a decade, any conversation about the NBA's present and future had to start with him. That rule has been repealed. The discourse has decisively shifted. Talk shows and social media are not debating if Luka is better than a 40-year-old LeBron. That's now a settled fact. The debate is whether Luka is now the best player in the world, period. LeBron's name is now used as a benchmark for other young stars. Can he have a Luka in LA type of legacy-defining night? He has been moved from the center of the conversation to its historical periphery, a measuring stick for the new generation's greatness. This reshapes the Lakers' entire future. Their strategy can no longer be build around LeBron. That project, as last night proved, is complete. The new, terrifying question is what comes next? The franchise is saddled with a massive financial commitment to an aging legend and a roster built to complement skills that are no longer dominant. They have few trade assets and less flexibility. The path forward is a daunting rebuild, but one they can no longer postpone. The post-LeBron era, a concept they hoped to delay for years, began not with a retirement press conference, but with a standing ovation for a 25-year-old opponent. For LeBron himself, the final stage of his career has been irrevocably altered. The pursuit of a fifth championship, the chase for the GOAT title, must now be undertaken from a position of acknowledged decline. He's no longer the predator. He is the legacy being hunted. Every night against a top young star will be a referendum. His greatness is now historical, not prophetic. The rest of his journey will be a magnificent, prolonged farewell tour in a league that has already begun writing its next chapters without him. So, what truly happened in Los Angeles? It was more than a basketball game. It was a cultural and sporting inflection point. Luka Dončić didn't just score more points than LeBron James. He executed a flawless, symbolic transfer of power. He made the past look past. The legacy of LeBron's Lakers is now complete. It is a complex 7-year saga with a glorious bubble-wrapped championship at its peak and a stark, humbling surrender at its close. It is the story of a king who restored a kingdom but could not secure its dynasty because he was, in the end, a brilliant regent and not its born sovereign. The haunting final question is not about LeBron's place in history. That is secure among the gods. The question is about the nature of that history. Did we just witness the end of a king's reign, or the moment the very idea of a singular, all-consuming king in the NBA was retired? Luka represents a new paradigm, breathtaking individual brilliance fused with a collaborative, team-building ethos. He didn't need to claim a kingdom, he built his own. Last night, he walked into the old kingdom's grandest hall and showed everyone it was just a building. The magic wasn't in the throne, it was in the man holding the ball. And in doing so, he may have ended not just an era, but the very archetype that defined it.